Hi everyone. How are you today? Today I woke up about 5:30 in the morning and my mind was filled with joy for our country and also something else that I could share about my life and about what set me up to and what the situations that set me up to be the way I am, such a freedom fighter. And so I want to share with you a few things. As you know, if you've been following any of these things, I have a lot of journals. And I had a dream 27 years ago that is really fitting for today and what's happening today in our country. I also had a dream in 2007, which was I don't know how many years ago, but that also really pertains to today too. So I wanted to share these with you in hopes that you could perhaps see another way of looking at things, because some people may feel that our interest in what we're doing is kind of strange and it's a little different than the normal people. Why don't we just do what everybody else does, and that kind of thing. So I wanted to share with you why I am the way I am. And I hope that you'll grow and that you'll see another way of looking at things that might help us come together in more unity. First off, in 5th or 6th grade, I had wonderful teachers that we had singing time, and we got to sing songs like, "This land is your land, this land is my land, like you're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and this is my country." And I would say that besides the genes that I inherited from my family, which is pretty powerful, that was the beginning of, that sparked for me the beginning of the love of our country, the United States of America. And so I'm going to share why I am such a freedom fighter and some of the experiences I've been through and some of the dreams I've had that might be interesting to you. And it's not meant in any way to... So let me explain something. So this morning I had some ideas come to me. So when Joseph Smith, for some of you might not be members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the first leader of our church was a prophet named Joseph Smith. And there was a time when he was in Liberty Jail. And he was there for quite a while, and while he was there, he received a lot of inspiring information that everything that we go through is for our benefit and our good in the big picture, even though it's really hard and difficult. And then at the same time that Joseph Smith was in jail, Brigham Young was moving saints from one part that were being outcast, and he was moving the saints. So they both were doing different things at the same time. And it was actually good that Joseph Smith was in jail at that time, because Brigham Young got a little foretaste of what he was going to be doing in the future, didn't he? In moving people and in the Exodus out west. So I brought that up so that each of us have what we need for our life. And so in my being so adamant that I am about constitutional freedom and the lack thereof that I see because of the background I'm going to share with you, I don't want to disparage you if you feel differently, because just like Joseph Smith and Brigham Young each had different jobs, we each have different ways that we're going to grow, and in the end the outcome that we all want is that we each grow, right? So we are each going to grow and gain experiences that we need. And so with that caveat in there, I'm going to start sharing. So so the oil in my lamp, have you put oil in your lamp? And so for these 62 years, it has created the person that I am now in the way that I see the current events. And so I'd like to first start. And one of the things I want to share too is I remember watching, not too long ago, Elder Bednar speaking for those of you that don't know, he's an apostle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he spoke to a group of people. It was a little group of people, and he spoke about inspiration and the guidance of the Holy Ghost. And what I remember from that talk was that you already are receiving inspiration. Quit thinking, well, in the future when I am, if I'm good enough when I am, if blah, 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 then I will be. He said, no, you are right now. So just trust that you are right now. And so everyone is right now receiving the inspiration they need for their own life. So what I'm going to share with you is the inspiration that I needed for my life and for the way that I am choosing to grow while I'm here in this earthly experience. So that sets the stage a little bit for what I want to share. And so, let's see. In the journal, I want to share something here. So here's my journal from a long time ago, 27 years ago. 27 years ago, here's my journal. It's with a computer. Jeff got a new computer and he had to force me to learn how to use it because I was afraid to try new things because I'm a recovering perfectionaholic. Perfectionaholic, is that a word? And so I didn't want to learn new things because if I don't do it right and I'm not good enough, then it's just devastating. But he forced me and I learned how to use the computer, and so I wrote a lot of my experiences in my journal. So I want to share, so in this time, so the first one that we have here is about, so this is some background information which will make the dreams that I'm going to share relevant. So, journal entry, okay, so which was the first one here? It's a little tricky. I've got so many, I should have numbered them. Okay. So, in 1992, at that time, President Benson was the prophet of the church. And I had been reading An Enemy Hath Done This, and I had been reading and studying the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all of those kinds of things. Both Jeff and I had a love for the country already from other sources. But I'd been studying them, and I had determined that I was going to start noticing when things were unconstitutional. And my mom got a photocop ticket. This is like 27 years ago, or longer. So she got a photocop ticket and she paid it. And I said, Mom, you know that photocop is it's against the Constitution because you have to testify against yourself and you don't get to see your accusers, and it sets up for a lot of problems in the future. And she didn't know that. And so do you know what happened? A short while later, this is what I wrote in my journal. One day, coming home from shopping, the Spirit said, Christine, you are going to get a photocop ticket. It was crystal clear, and I wasn't surprised when I got a ticket in the mail later on. And already, I had met two people from our ward who came up and talked to me. One was David Jones, and Lynn Polson. And so they came up and talked with me one day after testimony meeting. We started visiting. And I found out that they knew about they were really good with constitutional things. So when I got this ticket, I approached David, and I said, what do I do? I want to fight this. And he knew exactly what to do. So to make a long story short, I went through all these processes. It was very, very scary. And he was writing different things that you need to do to the court because you have to show that you're not in the jurisdiction, because we're really not ruled by constitutional law right now. We're under maritime law or merchant law, so it's quite different. And so I decided that, I was going to go for this. It was really, really scary. And I remember one time when I got another letter from the court saying I needed to do this, and then we filed this motion and we did that, and we were doing all these things to set ourselves up so that not only that we could have this dismissed, but if necessary, we could go to a higher court so it could be ruled unconstitutional for Utah. That was our end goal. And it was pretty ambitious because I was, just learning, and I'm not very good at details. Anyway, so as I was thinking about this, and it was just before Christmas, and I was starting to get a little sleepy, and I was in bed, and I had my hand on Jeff's chest, and I heard the words, "Follow the eagle, follow the eagle, follow the eagle." And each time it said it, I felt a tingling through my whole body, and as I was being lifted up. And it had happened before in my life that had at this time, but this was the strongest I ever felt it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I saw, because I had my eyes closed, I saw in my mind's eye an eagle with outstretched wings that was flowing down. And as I pondered it and thought about it and opened up some scriptures, I said, is this what it kind of means? Because there's lots of meanings, and it can also mean to see the big picture, because eagles have they can see from really high away. They can see the big picture. But as I was pondering that at this time of many, many years ago, I realized that it was about freedom and so I said, so is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And it opened up to, what was it said? Helaman chapter 8. And it was about freedom, and it was about the corrupt judges and lawyers. So I'm like, okay, I'm going into the lion's den. And I had so many experiences. It was so scary. And so we did all this work, and in the end result, the prosecuting attorney came in, and he was trying to scare us, and he says, well, what can we do to resolve this? And Jeff said, well, you can dismiss the charge. And he said, no way. So I had my court date on January 20th, which was 1993, and that was the same day that Clinton was put in office. And on the way to this photocop for this thing here in West Valley City, I remember singing "The Lord is My Shepherd" on the way down, because it was pretty scary. And I woke up that morning and I said, please help me. And I opened up my scriptures, and it turned to Mosiah 29 about corrupt judges, and when the voice of the people become iniquitous, then calamities occur. Anyway, so I was determined, so Dave and Lynn were there with me, Jeff was with me, my dad came too, and everything was different than what was planned. It was so different. But the end result was that it was dismissed. I did not have to pay the fine, and it was actually, so Lynn and Dave were following what was happening, and they could understand what the judges and what their lawyer were doing, and they realized that they were being set up so that this case could go to the case of the land. They realized that, and it was dismissed, and we were going to take it further, but guess what happened? Photocop went away. Now, I don't necessarily think that it was just because of what I did or what I was attempting to do. I think that a lot of people knew that this was unconstitutional, and so they were going about in their way because they loved this United States of America. Okay, so that's a little bit about that. Tells a little bit about what I am willing to do for our country. I know it was scary, but I knew that I was supposed to follow the eagle. And I have tried in my life. Anyway, so I want to share something else. So that's a little bit of background about me. That's good enough to know kind of about that kind of thing. So I'm going to go to a dream that I had. And this was March 18th, 1993. And this is the time, at this time I was studying a lot of things about the last days. All Isaiah, Daniel, Book of Revelation, everything about the last days. And so, but at this time I had a dream. And in this dream, and it's right here, March 18th, 1993, but I'm just going to tell about it. But in the dream, I was going to have a baby. And I was in a sitting up position, and I felt pinpricks, little needles, all over most of my lower part of my body. And I was like, is this okay? So I wanted to talk with my OB to ask him, what is going on with this? Is this procedure okay? So I called him up on the phone, and I saw him in my dream to the side over here, to the side, And he was just eating a big hoagie, and he was talking with somebody, and he didn't even know who I was. He didn't, so that's a clue in dreams. Sometime in the future I'm going to talk about some keys for understanding dreams, but it's a clue that it's not about having an actual baby. But anyway, so in my dream, all of a sudden, so it happened so quickly, I looked down, and all of a sudden I have this baby boy who looks oriental. You know, he's just brown, he's got the brown hair and the little eyes, and I was like, I'm shocked. And I also said in my journal, look at what, it was so real. It said, I was having pinpricks all over me. I actually felt the pinpricks or needles. I felt my heart beating as if it would stop. I was in a sitting up position. I wanted to ask my doctor if the procedure was all right. This dream occurred, okay, I wondered if it was, I wondered, like, are we just going to go on a mission to Korea or something, and that's when I'm going to have this baby? So I was pondering it. I talked to my cousin David. I have a cousin that I like to talk with things about this about. And so we started thinking about some different things, and what if it's a possibility of the birth of the Chinese, or their mindset, or their thinking in our nation. And so I thought that was interesting. And so I want to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind a little bit. And I want to say here that I have no problem at all. I love people from other nations, and I think I have met some of the sweetest Chinese people ever. But the ideology, some of the leaders and the ideologies are against freedom. I realized that I forgot to mention what the little pinpricks were symbolic of. It's acupuncture. At that time in my life, I had never experienced acupuncture before, but later in my life, in a health program that I was in for 10 months, I had a chiropractor who did work with me, and foot baths and acupuncture. So that's what the pinpricks were. They actually take away pain. And so I think that people do stuff like that to block pain. So that's also another symbolic thing with that dream, right? To block pain, and it happens so quickly. What we have been through in America has happened so quickly. The whole ideology, everything has been like tough. I've been saying to myself, my gosh, am I like in the Twilight Zone? I'm like, I'm like in shock half the time. Anyway, so I wanted to bring that up. I forgot to mention that that's what the pinpricks were symbolic of, was acupuncture. Thank you. So there's a man named, oh, get the information, Jacob Lewis. I have him on my Facebook page. It's an interview that Alina Erickson did for Jacob Lewis. He lived in China during the coronavirus, and so he was explaining what it was like over there. He lived in a place called Wuxi. There's 7 million people, and his wife is Chinese, and so he wanted to live there she wanted to live there, so he got a job speaking English to kindergarten teachers, to kindergarten students. And so they came back, so they left on May 1st in 2019. And then they came back in the middle of January to the end of January to the States for 2 weeks, and then they went back. And when they went back, everything had happened in China. Of course, Wuhan being the start of the virus. And so immediately when they came back, they had all of these hazmats, and they had to take the temperature. And so in his city of 7 million, Wuxi, they were in the lockdown for 2 months, or about the end of March. At the end of March, they opened everything up, and people went back to normal. Kids went to school, people didn't wear masks, everything went back to normal. And so he was so shocked. So he came here not too long ago. He came back to the States not too long ago, and when he was there, he came back and he's shocked because he just came from a totalitarian state. And he said over there, they have cameras everywhere. And if you, just like I fought the photocop, over there it's there, it's everywhere. If you don't turn a signal, you get something in the, there's little lights that photocop there that are computers or like cameras. I guess cameras would be the right word. And so you owe a ticket, you pay a ticket, you will pay it. If you don't, you go to jail. And it's for everything, every little infringement you can think of. People over there, they don't do anything wrong. They don't have a chance to do anything wrong. They follow the rules, they do what they're told, they just lock, step, and barrel. That's the kind of government that it is over there. Communist China, totalitarian society. Even though the people are nice, it's the society. It's just set up differently than America. It doesn't have the freedoms that we do in America. So when he came back, he was shocked by what he saw and what he experienced when he went to church, and he wasn't wearing a mask. Everyone looks at him like there's something wrong with him, and he just barely came back from a communist place, and he comes here, and it looks like this is happening here in the United States. Did you know that in the United States, the Constitution protects minorities? It protects minorities. It's not a group think. You actually have freedom. No one can just come and bowl you over and say, never mind, you have to do what we want. You have the freedom of religion and your conscience. Your own conscience is allowed to be free, or so it kind of used to be. So, so it's a police state over there, and he was marveling at what his experience has been in Utah, in being here for this little bit, and what's happening here. And so that brings me back to my dream again. Is that interesting? It happened so quickly. The birth of Chinese ideology, the groupthink, do what you're told, step in line. And this is for a virus that has an exceptionally low, like a little bit of a percent of 1% that you can die from it. Just a little bit, 1%. And it's higher for other ones, but look what's happening to these United States of America. So far, the church has put out, there's been Elder Christofferson and Elder Bednar have talked about the Constitution and about our freedom. And so I thought that was really, really significant, that I experienced ahead of time. And it was so fast, the birth of this this little boy, a different ideology is how I'm looking at it. An ideology that's foreign to American ideology. Now I understand that people wear the mask and they step in line, and they do that because they care about others. And they are concerned, I understand all of those things. From the perspective of the people like myself, Alina Erickson, Jacob Lewis, and lots of other people, how we show love is we point people to the Constitution. That's how we do it. Because this girl who dared to go fight photocop, that's pretty brave. That's pretty bold. So, this is me. You know that song, This Is Me? It's not just me. It's a lot of freedom people. A lot of people are concerned about where our country's headed. And I'd like to share my last dream I want to share with you. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know your time is valuable. In 2007, early October, I had a bizarre dream, and I wrote about it, and I said, oh, this is so bizarre. But I wrote it down. I saw faces with everyone wearing masks. And I valiantly proved my love by not having a mask when everyone else did. And I can say I haven't always done that. I haven't done that. In the beginning I did. And I'm going to start doing that more. For me, it's about help, for sure. I did a video a while ago called The Breath of Life, and it explains some other experiences, a little bit about me, so you know even more about me. But, so it's just, it goes against my conscience. And I love people, but to not be able to breathe freely, and for people who can't wear masks to be forced to wear a mask and they can't, it's groupthink. Sorry. We aren't groupthink. We are not in China. We aren't. We're in the United States of America. And if anyone wants to wear one, I stay 6 feet apart from people. If I have cold, like I had a cold for a couple days, I didn't go to the fitness center. It's my body saying, you need to rest. You've been going crazy, like doing lots of stuff. You need to just lay down and rest. So I rested and read books and did things at home. So, but that's my take, and a lot of other people's take on what's happening now. And we love the United States of America. I do, with all my heart. So, that's my path. And you might have a path where you feel really, really good about wearing a mask. And I don't have a problem with that. If that is what you need to make you feel good, that is what you need to do, because this is, right? It's America. But if you see someone in a store who's not wearing one, know that there's a reason why. And we each have, as I said in the beginning, the oil in our lamp that is for our individual path. And this is me. This is my path. Thank you for listening. God bless the United States of America, and all of you have a wonderful day.